Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you remember our last discussion on people as a resource. Well, today, we're going to take that idea one step further. We'll explore how people, just like you and me, can become a country's most valuable asset. It's a really interesting topic.
All right, so let's get our brains working. We already know that people are a resource, right? But have you ever wondered what makes them a truly valuable resource? I mean, what's the secret ingredient that turns a person into someone who can really contribute to the economy? Let's find out together. Well, the answer, in one word, is investment. Think about it this way. If you have a piece of land, it's a resource, sure, but it's not going to grow anything on its own, is it? You have to invest in it, with seeds, with water, with care. It's the exact same with people. A person isn't just born an asset, they need to be nurtured and developed.
So, here's our plan for today. We'll start by figuring out what human capital actually means. Then, we'll listen to a story about two friends. It really brings the idea to life. After that, we'll look at why their lives turned out so differently, and we'll wrap up by seeing why all of this matters, not just for them, but for everyone. Okay, let's dive right in. Our first big topic, what is human capital formation? In simple terms, it's about how we turn people into productive assets. All right, let's get the proper definition down. Human capital formation is when we take our existing human resource, that's people, and we develop them further. How? By making them more educated and more healthy. When we do this, it actually adds to the productive power of the entire country. It's kind of like building a brand new factory, but instead of machines, we're building up the potential of our people.
So you might be asking, how do we make this investment? Well, it really comes down to three key things. Number one is investment in education. Number two is investment in training. And number three is investment in health. Let's take a closer look at each one.
First up, education. You know, when we talk about investing in schooling, it's not just about learning facts from a textbook, it's so much more. It gives you knowledge, for sure, but it also builds your confidence. It helps you see and grab the opportunities that come your way. This is really the first most important step in building a person's potential. Okay, next up is training. Now, training is a little different from general education. It's much more specific. For example, think about taking a course to learn computer programming, or learning a practical skill like tailoring, or even how to be an electrician. This kind of training gets you ready for a specific job, and that makes you much more employable. And the third piece of the puzzle is health. I mean, it's just common sense, right? If you're not feeling well, you can't really do your best work. So investing in health, making sure people have good food to eat and can see a doctor when they're sick, is absolutely crucial. A healthy person is a productive person. It's as simple as that. So here's the main takeaway. Investing in a person's education and health, it's exactly like investing in something physical, like buying a new machine for a factory. At first, you put in money and effort, but down the line, you get a huge return on that investment. For people, that return comes as a higher salary, a better life, and a bigger contribution to society. Okay, I know this can feel a bit abstract, so to make it super clear, let's look at a story. It's about two friends, and their example really shows us how all of this works in the real world. So let's go to the village of Semapur. Here we meet two friends, Sakal and Vilas. They grew up in the same place, but as you're about to see, their lives went in completely different directions. And it all comes down to the investments that were or weren't made in them. Let's start with Sakal. Now, Sakal's parents really believed in the power of education. They made sure he went to the village school. He worked hard and finished his higher secondary exams. His father even took out a loan, a big investment, for him to study a vocational course in computers. And what happened? Well, all that investment paid off. Sakal landed a good job at a private firm and even got promoted.
Now let's turn to his friend, Vilas. His story is quite different. Vilas never got the chance to go to school. He also had a health problem, arthritis, but his mother just didn't have the money for a doctor. So with no investment in his education and no investment in his health, Vilas was forced to do the same work as his mother, selling fish for a very meager income.
See the difference? Two friends, two completely different outcomes. So what can we learn from this? Let's break down exactly what set them on such different paths. It all comes back to that one word, investment. Let's put them side by side. Education, Sakal got a degree in computer programming. Vilas had no schooling. Health, Sakal was strong and healthy. Vilas was a patient of arthritis. And their job and income, Sakal got a great job at a firm while Vilas was stuck selling fish for a small amount of money. The difference is just huge, isn't it?
It really shows you the power of investing in a person.
And you know what? This effect isn't just about one person's life. It creates a pattern or a cycle that can continue for generations. Let's talk about something called a virtuous cycle and its opposite, a vicious cycle.
Let's think about it logically. If parents are educated, they've seen for themselves how important school and good health are. They get it. So naturally, they're going to make sure their own children get those same opportunities.
And this is what creates a virtuous cycle. It's a positive loop. The parents invest in their child's education and health. The child grows up, becomes successful, and has a higher income. And then, what do? They invest in their own children. And so the cycle of opportunity and advantage continues generation after generation.
But on the other hand, what if the parents are disadvantaged? What if they themselves are uneducated and don't have many resources? Well, they face a much, much tougher situation.
This can lead to a vicious cycle. It's a negative loop. The parents can't afford to invest in their kids' schooling or health, so the children grow up with fewer skills and opportunities. And sadly, this cycle of low income and poor health often just continues into the next generation.
So why are we talking about all this? Is it just about Sakal and Vilas? No, not at all. This matters for everyone. Because when you think about it, the health and education of every single person isn't just a private matter. It actually shapes the future of the entire nation.
And that brings me to a really important point, summed up in this quote. It says, "Human resource can make use of land and capital. Land and capital cannot become useful on its own." Just think about that for a second. A country can have all the land and all the money in the world, but those things are useless without people, without skilled, knowledgeable, and healthy people to make them productive.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about. We saw what a huge difference investment made for Sakal and Vilas. Now imagine that on a massive scale. How does investing in the education and health of every single citizen help an entire country grow and become prosperous? Have a think about that, because it's a really big idea, and it's something we'll be looking at more in our next sessions. Thank you.